Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we've gathered quite a collection of sources. We're looking at some really significant recent happenings across Canada.
Right.
We've got diplomacy, defense shifts, new domestic policies, major environmental stuff, even some cultural bits. Our goal really is to just cut through all that information for you, pull out the most important pieces, and give you a clear, concise picture of where Canada stands right now.
Sounds good. Lots to cover.
Definitely. So let's maybe kick things off internationally. Canada's global position seems to be, well, changing in some interesting ways.
hmm
For instance, Prime Minister Carney confirmed at the NATO summit, that talk from U.S. President Trump about annexing Canada.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently, that's officially off the table now. Though Carney did say Trump still seems to admire Canada quite a bit.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah. But the bigger story, I think, is Canada's new commitment to NATO. It's major.
Okay.
They're pledging to boost defense spending, get this, from the current 2% up to 5% of GDP.
5%? Wow.
Yeah, by 2035. And it's not just, a number on paper. They're talking infrastructure, ports, boosting rare earth production, defense tech. It's a whole strategic investment.
And that 5%, I mean, that's really significant. It signals maybe a fundamental shift, wouldn't you say? Moving away from maybe just the traditional peacekeeping idea towards being a much more, assertive strategic player in collective security.
Yeah, assertive is a good word. Investing in serious capabilities.
Exactly. Capabilities that are going to shape their influence, diplomatic and economic, for, decades.
Right. And speaking of shaping influence, there's also this new Canada-EU security partnership just signed in Brussels June 23rd.
Okay. What does that cover?
It's pretty broad. Cybersecurity, maritime, space security, arms control, even joint procurement under the EU's big 150 billion SAFE fund.
The Security Assistance Framework for Europe, right?
That's the one, pooling resources for joint defense stuff.
So if you zoom out a bit, this EU deal, it's not just another agreement, is it? It kind of puts Canada right in the mix on these emerging security fields like cyber and space. But with the EU, it suggests maybe a new way of thinking about security cooperation beyond just NATO. Broadens their reach.
It diversifies things. Yeah, absolutely. Now, sticking with defense for a sec, that big F-35 purchase, see $19 billion for 88 jets.
Still ongoing?
Still under review, yeah. Decision expected late summer, apparently, though the money for the first 16 planes is already committed.
Okay.
And closer to home, those Canada-U.S. economic and defense deal talks, they're moving forward, but Carney's being clear. Canada only signs if the terms are good for Canada.
As you'd expect. Prudent.
Right. But while Canada's looking outward, there's some equally critical stuff happening domestically.
Okay, like what?
Well, the federal government just introduced this new Strong Borders Act.
Strong Borders Act.
Yeah, it gives them enhanced authority for managing emergencies, asylum processing, national security stuff right at the border. Some parts of it seem to echo, policies from former U.S. administrations.
How so?
Things like expedited removal processes,
Yeah.
more data sharing between agencies, that sort of thing.
Right. And that immediately raises, it raises the classic tension, doesn't it, between border security and civil liberties. While it might aim to make things more efficient, you can bet those kinds of powers are sparking some serious debate about humanitarian obligations, how we handle asylum.
Oh, for sure. A big debate. And shifting gears again, but equally pressing the environment. The challenges are just
It's stark.
the wildfire.
Exactly. As of mid-June, over 1,985 wildfires. They've burned almost 3.9 million hectares.
That's huge. An area bigger than Belgium, right?
Yeah, triggering evacuations, air quality warnings, particularly bad in Manitoba and Saskatchewan recently. It's just the scale. And it really underscores this isn't just, one bad fire season. It's the acceleration of climate change impacts, hitting Canadian communities, ecosystems, hard.
Yeah.
It forces the conversation beyond just emergency response towards, okay, what do we do long-term? Adaptation, resilience.
Absolutely. Just a couple more quick snapshots before we wrap up. Social cultural things.
Okay.
That high-profile Hockey Canada sexual assault trial, it's really ignited a national discussion about reforming Canada's consent laws.
Yeah, I saw that. Complex issue.
Very. And legal experts are kind of urging caution, saying, don't rush changes without thinking through all the consequences.
Understandable.
And on a different note, kind of cool.
Yeah.
Vancouver Bandits, the CEBL basketball team,
Yeah.
they're streaming their game on June 28th in Tagalog, a nod to the Filipino-Canadian community. Pretty neat example of media becoming more inclusive.
That's cool. Reaching out to different communities like that.
So yeah, we've really bounced around today, haven't we? From these massive international defense shifts and new partnerships to pretty significant domestic policy like the Borders Act and these huge environmental crises. It's clear Canada's juggling a lot.
It really is. What strikes me is seeing these, well, sometimes they seem like contrasting things, right? This global assertiveness, the NATO spending, the EU deal.
Yeah.
And then at home, you've got deep scrutiny on domestic policy, plus this environmental urgency. It paints a picture of a country really actively working through its identity, its priorities.
That's a great way to put it.
So maybe here's something for you, the listener, to mull over. How might Canada's more proactive stance on the world stage,
Yeah.
how could that ultimately influence the way it tackles these really pressing issues back home?